Hey, pilot, welcome back to Ready for Pushback. I'm Nik Fialka. I'm glad you are joining me today. My guest is a young man named Mason Jackson, and Mason is 21 years old with his ATP, and we tell the story about how this kid crushes. Mason has more hours than you. Mason has all the quals. Mason has done all the hard stuff, and he's succeeded to tell about it so that you can do it too. It's an amazing success story. Such a great kid. Also, he calls me sir like 1,000 times. So if you can raise your kid, hats off to Mason's parents for being like super respectful. Gosh, what a good kid. It's awesome. This is a fantastic conversation. I really enjoyed it. I know you're going to enjoy it too. So sit back, relax. Let's get ready for pushback. It all started as a spark. Maybe it was the sound of jets racing across the sky, or the feeling of your heart racing as you watch a crop duster flying low and slow. Even then, you knew you were meant to fly. For pilots, it's more than just a job. It's a calling. The early mornings, the long hours, the relentless training, you didn't do it for the money. You did it for that moment when the wheels lift off and the earth falls away beneath you. But flying is just the beginning. The journey to your dream job takes more than just skill in the sky. It takes strategy on the ground and a lifetime of learning.
Most pilots don't understand what career opportunities are available in the world of aviation. Learn how to go from good to great, from flight school to regional to major, and from hopeful to hired. Whether you're sharpening your skills, building your resume, or preparing for that big interview, this is where pilots come to level up. Let's get ready for pushback. Here's your host and my dad, Nik Fialka.
All right, Mason Jackson, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm so cool. Heads up to everybody. Mason's going to call me sir for the next 30 minutes, and it's amazing. If I can get my kids to do that, like, what's up? That's awesome. Mason, you just got your ATP, right?
Yes, sir.
Man, and how old are you?
21 as of 2 weeks ago.
And how many hours do you have?
2,700, I believe. I don't track it.
Holy moly, dude. Okay. I wanted that. That's a setup. That's a complete setup because I want you, like, how you're 21 years old. You got your ATP on your 21st birthday, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's as early as you can get. Like, that's the day.
Yeah.
Now, did you plan it on, like, the minute that you were birthed? Like, did you figure out what time you came out?
I did not get that far. When I was making the application on the IACRA system, it kept giving me an error that I was not 21. So the whole morning I was refreshing it, nothing, no change. So I had to do it on paper, which was interesting. But
heads up, I have also had to do that when I got my multi-engine. The reason being is because I'm really old. And so my original pilot certificate was paper instead of the plastic ones that you guys have now. And so they made me do it on paper. The DPE turned it into the FSDO. And the FSDO, the lady that was supposed to file all that stuff, she left the next day on maternity leave and had a baby and never turned my stuff in. And it took me greater than 180 days because it expired. And it was a whole rigmarole. So keep track. Keep calling that phone number on the FAA to make sure that they're tracking all that.
yes, sir. Yep. I've seen the paper certificates, so it's not too far gone.
Good. You need that plastic one that's like beautiful. You can put it around your neck. Tell everybody. All right, man. Well, let's talk about your journey. How old were you when you started flying?
I was 16 when I started flight training. I did like a summer camp probably at 14 or 15, but really 16.
Are your parents pilots?
No, sir.
No kidding.
No. No one in my family is at all.
That's wild. How did you decide this is it? This is what I want to do?
I don't know. I do know. I have an idea. I went on vacation when I was like 4 or 5. It was a really long time ago. And I just remember there's like a picture of me before we got on the plane. Like in the terminal, you can see the Southwest jet behind it. You can see the Birmingham, like their KC-135s in the background. And I just remember like the takeoff and being like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then kind of from that point on, I was the flying kid. So anytime someone saw a plane, they're like, Mason, what's that? And we're really little. So that was the start. And then from there, it just kind of built up until I could start, flight training.
Did your parents like buy a plane or something?
No, sir. Well, yes and no. So I got my private and then did instrument. And then I got a Cessna 150 just to, fly around and get time in, I guess, but nothing really to train in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, really, there's two parts of it. There's the training part, which you've got to get these certs, but then you've got to knock out these at least 1,500 hours. So a lot of that, I mean, you could bang it out in the pattern being a CFI, or you can just like go out and go see the country that we have. I think that's a lot of fun. Were you doing that by yourself at 16 years old?
Yes and no. So I would I would go over the lake, like fly around, see if I could find my friends on the jet skis or their boats, whatever the case is. Or if not, like sometimes I know I had a tennis tournament in Mobile, so it was like a 2.5 hour flight in the Cessna. So I would do that stuff and it was great, but I didn't at the time, wasn't thinking, the 1,500 stuff. I just was, I guess, having fun, if you will.
Yeah. So you were flying those, like you would fly to Mobile by yourself?
Yes, sir.
And how were your parents with that? Like, were they like, well, good luck?
Oh, my dad's like, kind of that train of thought. He's like, you were trained well, you know what you're doing, good luck. And then my mom was like, you're still pretty new at this. Like, you shouldn't fly at night. I'm like, Mom, flying at night's fun. Like, I mean, yes and no, I understand. So there was a disconnect there, but it was good.
Okay, so back to like the flight training stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're from Georgia?
Alabama.
No, Alabama.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're from Alabama. Was there a flight school near you? Did you find a local CFI? How did you go about that?
So where I'm from in Alabama, or I'm from Jasper, which if the people, I guess, don't know, is just outside of Birmingham, kind of a suburb, if you will. And there's a flight school here called Sanders Flight Training Center, or Sanders Aviation. And I signed up there. I went once or twice, like before I started. And then I met Jessica there, and she was like super nice, like off the bat, just showed up, or maybe called and showed up, whatever. So it's kind of a hidden gem in general. And then for me, even it's just the most perfect thing. It's 5 minutes from my house, and they're the best. So
did you know that the entire United States Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard basically just stand in line to go to Sanders Aviation?
At the time, I had no clue. Growing up, everyone, or not everyone, there's always like, the multi-engine planes that people would talk about, and you'd see them flying over. And then whenever I started flight training there, I was like, oh, this is where they're from. And then over time, I kind of came to realize that.
Did you meet any of those military people while you were down there for 6 years at Sanders?
Yes, there are tons. So even like when I was doing my private, I didn't know how to study at the time. And I know you had Freddie on. I was talking to him, and he was talking about the podcast. He was my instructor. And at the time I was like in high school, didn't know how to study. And one day he was like, dude, you've got to like do these steps, you'll do good. And then I was in the back classroom one day, and I ran into a group. It was like 5 or 6 people from Corpus, like all T6 guys. And they were like kind of helping me study and like showing me tips that they used. And so like meeting everyone at Sanders, like they all kind of have something to offer, if you will, like even if it's just like, yeah, that's a magneto and this is how it works, or whatever.
Yeah. And you can always tell those guys and gals because they have bad haircuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, always. That's why I wear a hat. Um, talk to me. Let's talk about those tips. Well, give me the tips. Like I've got young pilots listening to the show, people that are getting into aviation that have never done it. What are the hacks for learning how to study properly for aviation? How's it different?
It's so my thought on it is aviation is such a broad like environment, and then all of the information gets super niche. So in high school, when I was doing my training, you're just learning like this is how you take a square root, whatever the case is. So it's things that you'll use forever, but it's kind of broad. And then, in college, you really learn to study on your own. And as you're learning the more niche stuff. So that's something I had to like kind of grow up, if you will, and figure that out during my flight training. I guess it started personally. I'm a huge, like, not note taker, but I have to go back and like write stuff, flashcard type of guy. So writing everything down repeatedly and then like finally being able to correlate it helped a lot.
Yeah, I think I'm a flashcard guy. I started flashcards when I got into flight school. I didn't do
Mhm.
flashcards beforehand, and it totally would. I think it would have really helped me out in high school and college before all that. I think that is a great way to learn, especially when you have, um, you have the curriculum on one side and the things you have to learn, and they're very specific. They're very nuanced. Whether
Mhm.
it's a maneuver or a regulation, each one is very specific. And
And
so,
that's exactly how I was too. I not like probably not a great studier. You know, I could do it all. I was a decent student, like mega grades, but like I'm not gonna say I did not apply myself, but I didn't know how to like apply what I was learning and like, properly study, I guess. So that's same for me, really helped.
yeah, I think that's learning to do that and doing it consistently is a
Mhm.
big battle. It can because you can do a little bit of it and then you're just like, whatever. But you've really got to stay after it for a
Mhm.
long period of time because and I mean you probably had a stack that big of flashcards as you kept going.
A little smaller. It was big on Quizlet too. So, but
Quizlet.
yeah,
See,
yes, sir.
can't stack Quizlet. It's all digital.
No,
Um,
just the megabytes.
that's right. That's right. Okay, so as you were going through to get your private, were you trying to hit all the wickets? Like, oh, I got on the day I turned this, I got to hit that, and the day I turned that, and then then I'm going to get my ATP on this day. Was that a focus early on? Was it just like, man, all this kind of working out?
It more or less it was just all working out. I didn't, hit the like solo on the 16th birthday and private check ride on the 17th, like all of that stuff. Um, I really was kind of getting into it, and still like I didn't have a huge aviation background, like I was saying. So after that, same with commercial, I wasn't really aiming to hit it on the 18th. But for the ATP, once I started instructing, I'm like, all right, I have 800 days, 753 days, just like all the way down.
Oh, did you feel like you were ready and you had to kind of like wait for the time to tick across?
Yes and no. There's still like, even though I'm instructing, still tons of growing that, one can do. Um, so I felt I was ready, like flying sense and all of that side of the house, but kind of moving forward into like different careers in aviation. Like I know, cool instructing regional mainline, that kind of train of thought, but the specifics on getting into the regionals or getting into mainline, for example, I was still kind of figuring those pieces out.
Were you going to college too? Did you do college or not do college?
I did Liberty. Thankfully, Sanders, partnered with Liberty once I started instructing. So I sent them my ratings, and they're like, "Cool, here's 90 whatever credit hours." So that was great. I think it was a better decision than me almost going to Alabama, or sadly me almost going to Auburn. So
Exactly. Exactly, son. Sadly, nobody wants to say War Eagle. Sorry,
not
no,
at
I'm
all.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. They've got a great flight program. It's like,
They do.
but in all honesty, I used to live in Tuscaloosa on Rice
Mm-hmm.
Mine Road, so
I know
I'm
that road.
I'm tied in tight. But
Nice.
I do love my Auburn Flyers out there. They're so great, and
They
it's a
are.
cool little airport.
It is.
Okay, so you did Liberty. Did your parents pay for it? Did you pay for it? Clear, you're not in the military, so you're not using the GI Bill. How are you funding that?
I went 50-50 with my parents. So it like was awesome being an instructor and like having a job. So I just, would rather pay for the college with them, and it helped. I think it's going to have a great ROI, hopefully.
Look at you, ROI. My gosh, you're amazing. Okay, and did you pay 50-50? You took loans and went down that path, or did you were paying as you went?
Just kind of as I went out of pocket. So I would send them my half, and they would front their half and then put it in.
Did you negotiate with your parents where you're like 70-30 and they're like 60-40 and you're like,
Yeah, it was very intense negotiation battles. I started, I was like, how about you guys cover 100% and I'll foot a good attitude and like, good grades. And they're like, absolutely not.
I
So it
won't do
was,
math?
I'm joking, not at all. It was kind of just agreed upon 50-50.
It's great. I mean, honestly, are you an only child?
Yes, sir.
No,
No, I am.
you are. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the tension of all of the college part. The college part and the flight school part are a lot of big bills to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of parents find that very tricky. But also I would say always look into scholarships. Did you guys do any of that? Any scholarships, any grants or anything?
I did dual enrollment classes during high school. So I, skipped the first block of high school and go to like the community college with some of my friends. And so for that, I did have scholarships. And then whenever I got ready to go to Liberty, I don't think I had any. Maybe that's a lie. Maybe I had one or two, but I don't think I did.
We were just talking about dual enrollment stuff in my house recently. My oldest is 14 and all the things. So we're starting to think about that. Do you think that was a good experience or a weird experience or terrible, or where does it fall on your spectrum?
It wasn't terrible by any means. It was a little weird at first because just the way it worked, and cool, I'm signed up for this class, so just walk in and go to this room at this time. Okay, like, so that was new, but overall a great experience. And it helps too because those classes knocked out, like, I forget, a, at least like a quarter of the stuff I would have had to done at Liberty. So that, with the flight training stuff I'd already knocked out, that helped a lot.
Yeah, definitely huge savings for sure, and a smart move. It's tricky. Um, all right, well here you are, 21 in like 2 weeks now. You are a kid with an ATP, and you're looking back. What was the hardest check ride?
I think the private, just because you don't know what you don't know when you're starting in private. And then kind of once you get closer, you start to realize like things are there and exist. Instrument, I actually really did. I think I did well. Don't want to sound egotistical saying that, but like I liked instrument. And you're starting to learn, like, the nuances of the private knowledge, right? Aerodynamics, all of that stuff. You're just learning how to apply that kind of. And then commercial, same concept. You're just taking all of that stuff and just building a bunch of time, if you will. So I think the private, just because it's the most new.
I mean, I can imagine jumping in with both feet on something new is really hard to wrap your head around.
Yes, sir.
And now you're looking forward, right? You're 21. What's the game plan?
Um, I have a CGO with the regional, and so I'm waiting to begin training with that. I get it in February, I believe, and then start training for them, and then hopefully, get a cool base and fly that for a few years. I haven't fully decided. I've been thinking about going and kind of doing like the Gordo, as you did the guard stuff and trying to do that. So I've taken the test. So if I do want to do that, I can hopefully go down that road. If not, just, the airline jobs.
What do you want to fly in the Guard?
Really anything. I'm not like,
Come
obviously you have to pick stuff. I would be open to flying anything there, just because I think like it's cool experiences you can't do in a regional jet. You can't do breaks in a regional jet or form stuff. But also just the experience, like meeting people at senders who have either maybe done that route or just the military flying in general. They all have good things to say. Of course, there's different sides to everything, but I just think it would be unique. It's flying that's important in a sense for everyone per se, rather than just the person going from, DC to Indy.
DC to Indy, DC to Indy, and back, and back,
Mm-hmm.
and back, and back. All right. Well, you got to pick something. Like, you have to pick right now, like the perfect plane in the Guard for you. You would pick what?
So I think the Eagle. It's fast. I don't
Where
know.
would you want to fly it?
I know some people in New Orleans. They're all great people. I would love to fly in New Orleans. I know one or two people out in Fresno, so one of those places. But like I said, anywhere would be just awesome. Being able to like have the opportunity to do that. So,
all right, Guard bums and squadron commanders, hit me up. Podcast at SpitfireElite.com. I will hook you up with Mason. He wants to rush your squadron and crush it. So great opportunity. Y'all reach out to me. I'll hook you up. It'd be awesome. Cool.
awesome.
We'll do it. This is what you got to do, man. Like, go after it. If you're 21 and you've got your ATP, like learning how to do BFM and learning how to do formation and all the different stuff, you sort it out. You're already head and shoulders above where 90% of the people start. So go for it and go 110%. It's a super hardcore flight school mode when you do it. But also, here's my other pro tip. Get to your regional and start and get a seniority number first. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Before you can affiliate, but make the timing such that even if you just start day one and then you leave, with the USERRA is the law that the airlines, any employer has to honor for military service. So once you start day one with that, you probably already know this because you're ahead of everything, but then you can have up to 5 years of deployment and being gone. And sometimes it's extended past that, depending on what your position is. But you can go 5 years and then come back for 1 day and disappear for another 5 years. So you can, because you're going to have to go to flight school with them. You're going to have to do seasoning, and like there's a few other things you're going to have to do, and which is cool and awesome and a lot of fun. But having both of those on your resume is going to look really awesome for the majors that you're coming across. So that's my pro tip. You probably already knew it.
It's all good information. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Are you thinking, like, have you already started thinking about how to get to a major? Like, what are the extra things you need to do to get to a major to beat a flow?
I have, yes, sir. I know, like, for example, the regional has a Delta Connect, blinking on the name, not Connect, but they have a program with them. It's 24 months, I think, as a captain, and then you can flow in, different things like that, or, just applying out to others. So we'll see how that can mesh in via like the different routes I could take. So
yeah, you've got a lot of things going, and the extra things you can do, the more involved you can get in leadership of organizations. If you want to get involved with an organization or with recruiting or the union or whatever, all of those things are the extra things that nobody else is doing, and so that will help you position yourself to get further on down the path than just waiting for a flow. So something to consider.
Yes, sir.
He says yes, sir. It's awesome. All right, dude. Well, we're about wrapping up. What are give me your top 3 tips for a person that's young, that wants to crush and knock out their ATP like you did?
First thing, be prepared to, take in the information, decipher it, commit it to memory, and do all of the studying stuff that you can. That's something that I had to like really work on myself. So that's one. Another is obviously be good on the ground, kind of like I was just pointing to. Try to be good in the plane. You hear people say like, be good on the ground, be good in the plane, and be a good person. Like have 2 of those and you'll be set. I agree, have 2, but always work towards being like great at everything. It's better to be over prepared. And then that's 2. And a third one, something that's helped me is, seeing having other experiences and kind of bringing that into what I do. So like I was saying, being over prepared, but like having clear goals, even if you don't know how you're trying to get to those goals, use all of your resources, everyone around you to kind of make a path and figure out a path that should hopefully work for you, for everyone or you.
I love it, man. I love it. These are great tips, dude. Mason, thank you for coming on the show. Thanks for talking to the pilot that is trying to be where you are. I think you're a super awesome inspiration, and keep crushing, man. I'm excited to see you progress, and maybe you'll be a Strike Eagle pilot one day soon too.
Hopefully. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. A lot. Thank you.
All right, pilots, that's a wrap on this episode, and I know what you're thinking. You need to make yourself a little bit better. So how do you make yourself a little bit better? You tighten up your resume. So here's what I want you to do. Go over to my website, spitfireelite.com/podcast, and you can download my free resume template. It is tight, organized, and it's the perfect pilot resume. It's just something I like to do for the pilot group, and it is free to you. So go over there, spitfireelite.com/podcast, and download your free resume template. While you're over there, look at all the services that we offer. Lots of great interview prep, lots of great application review. Everything you need to be a professional pilot is right there. spitfireelite.com/podcast. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next episode.